Welcome to No Broken Legs. I am your host, Evan Belfiore. We are continuing our journey through the NFL with the AFC West, and joining me to talk about it, as always, is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you tonight?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, bud, and I'm super excited to talk about what I think is the best division in football.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And it is Wednesday, August 31st. Just to set that up so that if anything changes, like, oh, I don't know, you're the Dallas Cowboys. Uh, we'll get to the NFC East next week. But first, we have, as Jimmy said, the best division in football. And it starts at the top of the division with the Kansas City Chiefs. To win the Super Bowl, they are plus 1,100. To go to the Super Bowl, they're plus 600. To win their division, they are plus 175. Their over-under is 10.5, minus 210 to make the playoffs, plus 196 to not make the playoffs. Jimmy, do the Kansas City Chiefs win more or less than 10.5 games?
To me, this is another case like the Ravens where I don't understand this win total. I can't see a situation where they lose that many games. I actually projected them out at 16 wins.
Ooh.
I think the Chiefs are one of the two best teams in football. I'm making the Super Bowl bet because I don't know if I think the Chiefs or the Rams are winning yet, but I think those are the two teams playing in the Super Bowl this year. So I'll be taking the over for the Chiefs win total and making all the bets for them to win division, conference, and Super Bowl.
I don't know if that came through, but I was kind of chuckling reading some of these odds. Because plus 1,100 to win the Super Bowl, you're giving me 11-1 odds that the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Like, there's what? Up to plus 600, you still have my interest? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Plus 600 to win the conference also seems just great and low for bettors of our ilk. And then you're getting, the Chiefs have just run this division. I don't see how they win fewer than 12, just sort of like the Bills. Like, even in a worst case scenario, injuries aside, I don't see how they don't win at least 12. They win 12 every year with Andy Reid.
Yeah, I think there's a very, very large overvaluation of Tyreek Hill, my personal opinion. I think Patrick Mahomes knew how to bring out the absolute best of Tyreek Hill, and I think he'll bring out the absolute best of Mecole Hardman, the absolute best of Juju Smith-Schuster. I think this team is going to be just fine. The running game is going to be a little weird because they did have some change up in the backfield. I don't think it's really going to matter. I think you've got two of the best offensive minds in football leading the charge. And much like with Aaron Rodgers, the things Patrick Mahomes has been doing in training camp and in the preseason have been incredible. You can tell he's not worried about missing Tyreek Hill. And I think he's probably I think we know enough about Patrick Mahomes that he pays attention to every story and he knows what's going on. And I think he's probably at least a little pissed off that Tyreek Hill would leave him and say the dumbass things he said about Tua. And I think he will prove very, very quickly that he was more important to the offense than Tyreek Hill was to the offense. If you're a fantasy football player, I would really look to grab Travis Kelce wherever you can in the first round because I do think his touches are probably going to go up. His targets are going to go up. But I think this team is just phenomenal. I think their defense is still really good. They added some really, really good young talent that has played really well in the preseason. I think the Chiefs are one of the two best teams in football. I really do. I just don't understand this win total. That's really what it comes down to. I don't understand how you look at that schedule and see less than 12 wins, like you said. The projection I had at 16 is probably a little much, but that's how bullish I am on how good I think this team is.
If they go less than 4-2 in the division, I'd be pretty surprised. They just own Vegas, and Devontae Adams isn't going to change that equation. They own that team. And I think people are forgetting what happened with Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid back in Philadelphia, where we did this. The Philadelphia Eagles went to 4 straight NFC Championship games, and we're acting like it's a big deal that the Chiefs are, lining up to go to 4 straight AFC Championship games. Andy Reid's a really good coach. He knows how to build a team. He knows how to put together great coaching staffs, and he picks great coaching talent. His coaching tree is amazing. It's what do they get out of the running game? I don't know, man. Does it matter? Is it going to matter? Because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to listen, just like you said, to everything and all these people that are talking about him. And I really liked what Nick Wright said. Like he's gonna find a way to throw the number 8 into something because he was ranked the 8th best player in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like so, I mean, I totally agree with that, and I think he's just really good. And I think he had a lot of bullshit go on in his life last year. All the stuff with his family members. I don't really follow all that stuff. I just know it's weird.
You were very much onto something there that, hopefully there's somebody within the family or the organization that gets his brother and wife under control and he just goes out and is the best player in football.
All right. We need to get back to talking about football. Anyway, totally in on the Chiefs. Totally in on Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy. They're going to need to get some help from those young players on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they're going to be able to do it because Andy Reid always builds his teams from the inside out. He's always had an eye for talent in the secondary. Again, go back and look at those teams he had in Philadelphia. This isn't something that just all of a sudden happened with Andy Reid. He's great.
Yeah.
This team's going to be great. Bet all of these and be happy because I think this team is being highly underrated.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Well, I guess if everybody's down on the Chiefs, then that means the Los Angeles Chargers, who we will talk about next, come into the season. Their over-under sits at, see, this is where they get you, man. Minus 125 for 10.5 on the under, minus 140 for 10 wins at the over. To win the division, they're plus 250. The conference, they're plus 850. And to win the Super Bowl, they're 1,500. To make the playoffs, minus 160. Yes, plus 160. No. Jimmy, do the Los Angeles Chargers win more or less than 10 games?
I think the Chargers might be the 4th best team in the AFC. They might even be the 4th best team in the league, but they're not going to win the division. I have them projected at 14, so I don't think they'll get past the Chiefs. I'm very bullish on this team, but I project them at 14, so I'll be taking the over here.
I have the over. I think you might be right, Jimmy. They may be the 3rd or 4th best team in the league. The problem with that is that Justin Herbert is yet to play in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to happen this year. I don't think they could possibly be worse defensively. Is like they have to at least be a little better.
Yeah.
They've brought in they brought in that inside defensive tackle that should really help them in the run game. We'll see if that leads to Brandon Staley getting better production out of that side of the football because, boy, they're going to put up a lot of points.
Yeah, they also traded they were also right at the start of free agency. They were able to trade a 2nd and a 6th for Khalil Mack, who might not be quite as dominant as he once was, but it will still be a great upgrade from what they had last year.
Yeah, and I think we saw what Von Miller did last year, and I think the LA Chargers saw what Von Miller did last year for the Los Angeles Rams. And I think they went out and they got their version of that guy, or at least the best possible version that's out there. And I think Khalil Mack can still be really good. I think he'll be used in ways that accentuate what he does best, and that's going to make Khalil Mack really dangerous, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really think this team is back to the spot they were with Prime, Rivers, Gates, Tomlinson, where the floor was the 2nd round of the playoffs, and if things broke right, their Super Bowl talent. Like I said, I don't think they're going to get past. I don't think they can get past the Chiefs, but I think they're great. Herbert is one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. They've got weapons everywhere. They just signed Sony Michel to spell Austin Eckler, which is what they need because Eckler's always kind of run down at the end of the year. So I think that'll be a big help. They brought in Gerald Everett from Seattle at tight end, who really played well last year, so they'll need that. They were able to bring back 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line and drafted a guy in the 1st round to replace the guard who he's best suited at playing guard. So they did everything they needed to do in the offseason. And then I got some numbers here for you, Ev.
Oh, please.
Herbert is currently plus 1,000 for MVP,
Like
plus
it.
2,500 for Offensive Player of the Year,
Like it.
and plus 900 for most touchdowns, plus 800 for most passing yards. So if you believe the Chiefs are down a little bit and the Chargers are taking over, you can place a $400 bet there that would net you 4,800 bucks.
I think that you should forego the lower odds bets and go with the longer odds because if he leads the league in touchdowns, he's going to be offensive player of the year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Or yards, or if he's, I mean, he could finish next year in the top three in both and still be offensive player of the year. So I
Yeah.
like all three of those. Definitely worth a bet. This, I mean, just everybody on this offense should eat. Well, then let's move on to the Denver Broncos, who we talk about third in the division, even though they made the biggest move of the offseason, bringing in Russell Wilson. Their over under sits at, wow, this is the biggest swing that I've seen. The Broncos under 10.5, minus 165, over 9.5, minus 135. That's a big 1 point swing between what you can find out there. To win the division, they are plus 275. To win the conference, they're plus 1,200. To win the Super Bowl, plus 1,800. To make the playoffs, yes, minus 139. No, plus 130. Jimmy, do the Denver Broncos, let's say, win more or less than 10 games?
So when I bet it, their win total was at 10. I projected them at 11, but I'm actually taking the under because I feel like there's more of a chance of them losing to a team I think they will beat than winning against a team I think they're going to lose to.
That's interesting because you don't think Russ is going to be cooking very much next year.
I think he's going to play well. I think they have some tough spots on their schedule, and I don't know how much of a leap you can take in year one with Russ. I do think there is still a little bit of roster construction issues here. They're put together well, but I'm not totally sure what it's going to look like, and I don't know. But I do actually have them sneaking in. When I projected them at 11, that snuck them in as the last wild card. So I do actually have them making the playoffs with my projections at 11. But on the betting side, I just took the under because if they ended up at 9, I I wouldn't be surprised. That would not surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either, and that's why I don't like this bet. I just in Vegas and not, but the sports books know what they're doing by moving that 10.5 and 9.5 for the over and the under. Uh, how they have that set up is because I think this team wins exactly 10 games, and I think they make the playoffs. But but man, Russell Wilson, I've been a big fan, and he just didn't get it done the last couple of years with Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf, who are two really or DK Metcalf, who are two really good wide receivers. I can't be convinced that what they have in Denver is somehow better than that.
I don't know, man. Sutton and Judy might actually be better. They've put up pretty good production with pretty poor quarterback play.
Well, I mean that's also with poor quarterback play comes a lot of third and fourth quarters where you get to rack up a lot of yards against teams that are blowing you out.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay, I mean that's how I've approached fantasy football for a long time, and it generally tends to work.
Yeah, I just think they've got this stretch. I don't know if you've got their schedule up too, but
I do.
they've got they've got that stretch at the end of the season where they go at Ravens versus Chiefs versus Cards, at Rams versus Chiefs versus Chargers.
Yeah, that looks pretty brutal.
That's like I don't know. Like I projected a win there versus the Cardinals and versus the Chargers, but if they lost all of those games just because the stretch is so brutal, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and in there you have Tennessee, Vegas, and Carolina. Tennessee that is going to test that upgraded run defense as well as anybody in conference with Vegas. Who knows? I mean, we'll just transfer into Vegas right here, Jimmy. I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders have themselves a new wide receiver. What did you think of the pickup of Devontae Adams?
I mean, I think it's brilliant. I think anytime you can upgrade at a position like that, I think That's exactly what you do. I'm not sure if I have a good feel for this team or not. I saw their win projection at 8.5. I saw
Yeah.
their total at 8.5. I projected them at 9 wins, so I'm taking the over. I'm not certain about it. There are a lot of people that believe the Raiders could win the division with the addition
Well, you've
of.
got Rich Eisen trying to talk himself into making them his Super Bowl pick.
But here's the thing: I'm not going to read them all because I don't want to put you to sleep with the names. But if you have a chance, listeners, go look at the teams and the quarterbacks that were playing for the teams that the Raiders beat last year. Most of the quarterbacks the Raiders beat last year in football games are not starting quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Yeah, that's
Like
never a good sign for a team.
they played a fairly easy schedule and they even played some good teams where guys were making spot starts. They were having turmoil at that point of the season. So I just don't know. I mean, we've talked so much about Derek Carr. Like, I'm so down on them just from the way the playoff game ended. I still can't believe that they didn't get a shot into the end zone at the end of that game. I don't know how you get that taste out of your mouth. I don't know if you'll get back to that situation. I think they're by far the fourth team in this division. I don't understand people that have them projected where they're projecting them. I don't see them winning more than maybe 2 or 3 games in the division, and that makes it really hard. But I will give them credit for the upgrade of Devontae Adams. A couple other spots they upgraded, but I just think Derek Carr is. I think the quarterback matters in the NFL, and you've got the fourth best quarterback in the division, and I think it's a wide margin between. I don't know if you want to put. I'd probably rank them Mahomes, Herbert, Wilson, and then there's a big step on the ladder before I get down to Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr is looking like the sort of Kirk Cousins, Philip Rivers of his generation, I guess. Like he's better than average, but when you need him to win big games, he folds. He doesn't have that I guess he hasn't shown to have that fire or that desire to like really come through and win a playoff game. And he had the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter and he failed.
Yeah,
That's
100. Yeah,
that's what's scary because it's going to be like that almost every week for them because they play 10 games against the West divisions in football
yeah,
that are the two best divisions in football, in my opinion. So their over under sits at 8.5. It's over is minus 115, under is plus 110. They are plus 700 to win the division, plus 2,500 to win the conference, plus 4,000 to win the Super Bowl. Make the playoffs. Minus 195, no, is the favorite. Plus 180, yes. We covered our thing. Jimmy, what did you actually have them at there? What did you have
I'm
them at?
I am scarily taking the over because I projected them out at 9 wins.
I have them going under. I think they have five
I
winnable games.
Yeah,
Oh man, but to get to 9, they've got to go 4-6 in the 10 games against the West divisions.
yeah,
Like that is rough. That means you can at worst go 2-4 in the division. And I mean, I like Devontae Adams, but he's not the reason the Kansas City Chiefs kick their ass every year.
yeah,
And I think we've seen this before. We've seen teams try to upgrade at receiver to make a average-ish quarterback better. I talked about it with you earlier when Chicago signed Allen Robinson. You know, people made a big deal about that, and it just didn't matter. Didn't matter because the guy they had throwing him the football wasn't that good, or it just wasn't
yeah.
good
I think
enough.
for me, the I will say I am excited. I am excited to see what Josh McDaniels is going to do with this team. You've got two really good tight ends in Waller and Moreau, and Josh McDaniels will know how to use that. And for me, it's just the spot where I have them picking up wins. They have the spot where they go versus Texans at Saints versus Jags versus Colts.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 4 wins there. I do think they'll split with the Broncos. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals early, but they still have a lot of work to do. If they lost almost every one of those games, I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't know. I just don't know what I really feel about this team. Kudos to them for upgrading in a position they needed to upgrade. but I don't know if it matters. I mean, much like with Tyreek Hill, I think Devontae Adams, when he runs routes, is one of the best route runners in the NFL. Part of that could be because he knows when he comes out of that route, Aaron Rodgers is going to have the ball where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Derek Carr is an Aaron Rodgers.
So I think there is going to be part of that where he's not Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see how that goes.
That offense will still put up a ton of points. I don't think they have it on the defensive side of the ball, and I don't think they have it when it matters most.
On the defensive side of the ball, like I love Max Crosby, I love Chandler Jones, and then it just seems like a bunch of dudes after that.
And I like Chandler Jones too, but we're sort of past the point where having one or two good defensive players is enough.
Yeah, especially in that division.
Yes, so we both like the Chiefs. We think they're being overvalued. We sort of disagreed on some of these other teams, but there's probably going to be a lot of variance in this division. The only team that would surprise me if they won the division was Vegas.
I would be very surprised if Denver won the division as well.
Okay, I wouldn't be that surprised. Maybe I'd be a little surprised. I guess I'm open. I'm just a little open to the possibility of Russ kind of getting his mojo back because he certainly hasn't had it the last couple seasons.
No, well, I mean, he was playing great to start the season last year before the injury. That being said, I just think, and for me, it's probably more of just how good I think the Chiefs and the Chargers are.
Yeah, that's pretty much what man, you just look around the AFC and it's just good team after good team after good team. And now that we've wrapped up the AFC, where most of the good teams are, we'll talk about the NFC, starting with our co-candidate for worst division in the NFL, the NFC East. That'll be coming up next week. Jimmy, thank you for joining me tonight to talk about the AFC West and a division that should give us a lot of fun football.
Yeah, these are going to be must-watch games, folks. Tune in. Whatever channel they're on, whatever package you got to get it so you can watch these division games because they're going to be great.
All right, and I want to thank all of you for listening. Please give us a like or a subscribe so that you can keep up on everything here at No Broken Legs.